Hello, friends. This is Dr. John WorldPeace, JD, coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico, land of enchantment, land of the ETs, and land of the atomic bomb. It's Monday, July the 5th, I believe, June the 5th, 2023. This is the second video of John WorldPeace versus the Pulitzer Poetry Prize, and this will be published on YouTube in the next couple hours. So this is about my fight with the Pulitzer Prize for 2022 and 23, all of which I entered. This video is about the unwritten rules regarding winning a Pulitzer Poetry Prize. The only rule published by Pulitzer is that the submission must be published in the year of the entry, meaning January 1 to October 31. They just kind of scratch out 3 months. Collections, selections, compilations must be published in the current year, but they can reference things published a long time ago. The only rule out there, easily accessible on the Pulitzer site, Pulitzer.org, is you have to publish, not write, publish in the year of entry. And the entry date is always October. Nothing else has been stated publicly by the Pulitzer Poetry Prize, but there are a handful of unwritten rules, significant rules that are not written, not even acknowledged by Pulitzer. The winner should have an association with an Ivy League Northeast university. The winner should be a professor of English, poetry, or creative writing. The winner should have accolades like grants and poetry prizes and honorary degrees, etc., at least a handful of them. The winner should have written at least half a dozen poetry books over his or her career, which usually is going to be up to, say, 30 years. The winner needs to be associated with a known publishing house, poetry publisher. Self-publishing has never won a prize, even though self-publishing is admissible for the prize. There is a collusion between Pulitzer and the publishers. If self-publishers are awarded a prize, then there will be a quick erosion of traditional poetry publishers, may even make a lot of them unprofitable. In other words, they will not be guaranteed wins, the traditional publishers anymore. In the recent years, last 4 years, I can't speak exactly to what's before that, but in the last 4 years, 3 out of the 4 prizes have been awarded to the LGBTQ queer nation, part of society. Can't deny it. In 2019 and 2023, a black gay male won both years, 2 different guys, talking about their gay life, which I have no interest in reading. And there was in 2021 a LGBTQ, female, Native, Hispanic. I don't know about Diane Seuss, who won in 2022. She's got kids, and I just didn't see that anywhere. The Pulitzer Prize hires 2 judges to judge a poetry. Now, how are submissions judged? From what I can tell, there are only about 60 entries a year. And it's never been a high volume entry prize. Now Pulitzer restricts and always has the prize to American citizenship. So why so few entries? Because the prize is rigged. The above rules are the first level of elimination known to all publishers and savvy professors. The first level of eliminations are easy. Just follow the first 5 or 6 rules above. This level is done by grad students, 22, 26 years old. They don't read the poetry. All they do is check the credentials. And then those books that pass that test are passed over to the judges. Now, most of these entries are also about 100 pages. Something that's not mentioned. They do not publish a list of entrants. They just publish the winner and the 2 runner-ups, which they call finalists. There is a list, of course, available in the Pulitzer archives. So the judges read about 100-page poetry books, so maybe 16 hours of work. Now, my entries have been 1,100 to 3,500 pages a year. The judges never read any of my entries. I've challenged Pulitzer about this for 4 years. No response. No response because the judges did not read my entries. They just laughed, and by laughing showed their ignorance. Here's a guy, John WorldPeace, writing an average of 1,400 poems a year in the last 4 years, but been writing poetry since 1970. And his name is John WorldPeace, so we definitely don't need to read anything this guy's written. Now, here's something that will surprise a lot of you, maybe almost all of you, except the most savvy professors and the traditional publishers. Bill Clement, who works for the Pulitzer Prize, is the archivist, among other things. Every scrap of paper, all notes, everything for every prize since 1918 is archived at Columbia University, which manages the Pulitzer Prize. Now, good luck to Joe Blow trying to get access to those records. But no worries. A German named Heinz Dietrich Fischer and his wife partner has published a full history of all the prizes. I don't know how many volumes there are in his books, but I would say 70 to 100. These are summaries of what Bill Clement guards in the archive. It seems only Heinz Fischer has had unlimited access, and there are statements in the books Mr. Fisher's books, that there was close cooperation and thanks given to Bill Clement. Now, I found this book by accident. The Pulitzer Prize Archive, Part F, Documentation, Volume 17, Heinz Dietrich Fisher, Erica J. Fisher, Complete History, Historical Handbook of the Pulitzer Prize System, 1917 to 2000. There it is, folks. And back here, for my interest in this matter, on page 397 to page 426, Poetry Award, 13.3. So, about, let's see here, about 30 pages. Summarizes every year who were the top 3 and how the decision was made as to who won the Pulitzer Prize. This is for every single, this work by Mr. Fisher and his wife is about every single prize, back to the beginning. It's all there. I happened to find, by accident, in deep research into Google and Google Publishing, this book that I never heard of. It's nowhere else talked about on the internet. So the above stats that I'm talking about and basing this video on were taken in part from these records, and I researched the years 2000 to present on Wikipedia. Who won? What was their career? How many accolades did they have? How many prizes did they win? Etc., etc. My website regarding all aspects of my poetry is at Dr. John WorldPeace JV. At the end of that website, you will see another website link, Dr. John WorldPeace JV versus PulitzerOrg.com. There's a lot more details in that website, my websites, and I'm working on bringing it up to date, which I will. My comments on going against the Pulitzer. As you will see, there's great arrogance by long-standing bureaucracies. Now, I've been writing poetry since 1970, and I've written about 8,000 poems. But my career for 50-plus years has been insurance, accounting, tax, law, and web design, dealing with small business owners, self-employed. Me self-employed, them self-employed. The Pulitzer is a typical bureaucratic organization, highly structured, has contempt for outsiders. It is an elitist, exclusionary bureaucracy mindset detrimental to increasing the peace in the world human society. World peace is democratic and all-inclusive. I've been the only official global advocate for peace since 1988 when I changed my name. Now, one thing, and pay attention here, there's a saying among bureaucratic stock buyers, the guys that manage money for the mega corporations. It is better to be wrong with the herd than right and alone. That applies perfectly to the Pulitzer Prize. You see, if these judges award me, who has no history, none of the first 5 or 6 items above, they are gambling with their careers. If they gave me the prize and other professors of poetry in America disagree, the judge's career would end for endorsing me. He would be laughed out of the community of professors. So they can't afford to do that. So the first 5 rules are a safety net for the judges, because the judges can say, we have this opinion, but here's other people with opinions. Well, you see, I never applied to any prize or was a part of any poetry community, so they have nothing to look at. And that is career-ending decision work. If you take and scribble out a picture of a house in as much detail as you can, and you take it to an architect for his opinion, he's going to give you his opinion immediately. That's what he does. He'll charge you some money and give you an opinion. You write a poetry book of 1,000 pages and take it to a college professor and ask for a written, comment. He's not going to do it. He's not going to put his head out there without anybody ever making a comment, and without anybody really ever, until 2018, even knew I was writing poetry. This college professor is not going to give an opinion. Now, an architect, an engineer, somebody, they've got textbooks that tell them that they're not stupid. But you don't have that when you're judging poetry. The poetry for the Pulitzer Prize is pretty much stuck back in the 19th and 20th century. Sonnets, traditional poetry, they really have not been happy with any kind of free verse. As a result, the poetry market has declined 50% in the last 10 years. But the good news is that TikTok and Instagram has brought on third millennium poets who write short poetry about what's going on in lives of mostly women, 18, 16 to 25. So that's what they write about, but they write short poetry and they read it onto TikTok or Instagram. And that is bolstering. There's a lot of poets out there. They're all over the internet. But none of them attempt to win a Pulitzer Prize because they don't have a dog's chance in purgatory of winning without these professorship and accolades and Northeast School attachment. So there it is. I have submitted to the Pulitzer 3 out of 4 years and won nothing, got no acknowledgement. But I've been a ghost from 1970 to 2018. Nobody even knew I was writing poetry. I did not promote myself, did not join any community, did not take any classes. I was too busy with my traditional businesses and my wife and 4 kids and life in general to be delving into marketing the poetry. I would write the poetry, put it away, move on with my life. So that's why nobody's going to look at my poetry that's with the Pulitzer. They're going to stay with their formula of professors, which is nice and safe for them, but it's totally corrupt. Another part of this is that you have to pay $50. You can enter multiple books, but you have to pay $50 to submit. And the assumption of anybody who submits is that their poetry is going to be read. And my poetry hasn't been read. They didn't read anything I sent. Now, there's a prior video to this that I published yesterday on YouTube that will explain how I write, what I write, and so on and so forth. So I'm saying to the Pulitzer, you're corrupt. You know you're corrupt. You've got one rule. None of the other rules are published by you officially, but you do have an archive, and you did hire a guy to write a summary of the archives of the Pulitzer Prizes. But I'm going to tell you this. If I'm successful in attacking Pulitzer, then all the other 21 prizes, those people who feared going against Pulitzer because they're part of the system, if they challenge, those people that challenge Pulitzer, then they're never going to win the prize. But I'm an outlier. I'm the Van Gogh guy who's just who was painting and nobody was paying any attention to, but whose paintings are some of the most expensive paintings in the world after he died. Because, once an outlier dies, then you can't argue back. So people feel more comfortable in giving opinions because that opinion is not going to bounce up against the author or the painter or whatever. So that should give you a good idea of how the Pulitzer works. And I can tell you, other than the book being published in the year of the for the prize, you submit. This year, October 23, the prize is announced in May, June 24. Other than that one rule, and the rule about collections and compilations where you can bring in some past work to bolster your submission, that's all that's out there until now. Now the cat's out of the bag. And my opinion is, it's just not me and poetry that Pulitzer's got to deal with. My experience with human beings is that they approach certain things in the same way. So the same thing that corrupts the Pulitzer Poetry Prize, I can almost guarantee you corrupts the rest of the prizes. So anyway, that's what I have to say for today. I'll probably cut another video a little bit later. Thanks for your consideration, and have a good day.